Always remember, your focus determines your reality. Stay close to me, and you'll be safe.
Welcome back, everybody, to another video today on my channel. Today's video, I wanted to go over some of my staple 3v3 teams for both offenses and defenses. Let's get into it. Starting off here first with the defenses, I'm going to give you around, I think this is around 12 or 13 different defenses. And these are the ones that in my history have proven to either get consistent holds or have always drawn some banners out. Always. I mean, these are ones that I think are some of the best non-GL defense. As you can see in this whole defense lineup, there are no GLs. And this is a reason why I'm going to bring this up is to why I don't like GLs is because, you know, these few teams here we're going to go over here very briefly, they are top tier teams for defenses, especially in 3v3. I mean, they're dang near good as a GL team themselves. I mean, they can pull some very good counters and teams. In 3v3, it's a completely different game mode. And you absolutely do not need to set any GLs, and you can still get consistent holds. Even if they're guys that you're fighting the opponents, they might save some GLs, and they could still lose, even if you don't set any on your own team. And it's not considered cheese because these teams are actually pretty hefty for the most part, especially with the ones that I'll be going over for today. So, defenses, let's go over some of these. Of course, this trio, Darth Revan, BSF, and Malak. This is such a disgusting trio in 3v3. So, the one thing I've been kind of leaning towards more in 5s is modding Darth Revan for just lots of health, lots of critical avoidance, making him just a little bit slower. And this kind of pulls some different counters. In 3v3, though, however, I think this is still better to go back and revert him to go a bit faster in the mods. But with BSF, however, I still really like her, guys, with lots of CA and lots of extra health. Having this way modded with the BSF makes it harder for her to, you know, to die. She stays around a lot longer, and she can keep on inflicting her CBM, her corruptible battle meditation, with like not letting debuffs, right? And her fear and her debuffs. So, I mean, such a great way to mod her. I still feel like that's a really great way to mod her. And then, of course, Malak. I'm going to go over a different team later on with Moff getting, and Malak will be in that team. But Malak is still a great one to have here. I'm not going to go into the modding like crazy hard, but with Malak in particular here in 3s, I like him with tenacity, even in 5s. This way, it stops some different counters like a bounty hunter counter, and other counters that rely on landing the debuffs onto to the Malak. Also, if you don't want to use Malak here, and let's say you want to still set them on defense, and maybe you want to use Malak, like EP Malak team, well, guess what? You can still use like a Sith Empire character here. Personally, I love Sith Marauder, but there's a different team I want to use him for. So the other one you can definitely use here is like an HK with his AoE to maybe strip some banners, or a Pre-Taunt here, which allows for the fear maybe to go off on Darth Revan always, so that way you protect Darth Revan, and you have that pre-taunt there with Sith Empire Trooper rather. So I definitely like Malak here, but if you guys have a Moff Gideon, I'm going to give you a different team to recommend to you. So this is a great team. Maybe use Sith Empire Trooper instead of Malak if you have Moff. So next up here, we're going to go over my next two favorite teams in the defenses for 3v3. I mean, these teams are just some of my favorite to mod for offense, or rather for defenses, and they always get me either a hold or just like losing some major banners. Like these guys are so consistent. So this is the team here. This is with OG Finn from way back in the day, and his leadership just giving it a lot more offense, defense, and potency. And then a bit more TM gain, but really it's just about those three stats, the offense and the potency and the defense. And then you got that going. You have this guy, Finn, the other resistance hero, Finn, the bro Finn, and you have the other Poe here. So modding these guys, I have to do a remod here, but if you guys could give probably your fastest speed set to anybody, I would give it to one of these guys. I would rather give it to Finn, make him really fast. I think my last season of 3v3, I had him like 347, almost 350, and then this guy was like around 320, and just making sure that Finn goes first, he does his little TM swap here back to the Poe, Poe does his little stun or whatever, I think it's a daze rather on this onslaught ability, and then he goes again, and then the game's pretty much over. You just cost him so many banners. That stops lots of stuff. It doesn't work, or rather, the counters that don't work versus this are like gases. Sometimes Darth Vader struggles versus this. Sometimes JKR struggles versus this. JTR, the resistance, they do struggle versus this as well. And what's the other one? Oh, what is it called? The shot clones team. The shot clones and the whole 501st. They struggle versus as a whole. So this team is a great front wall defensive team if you have them modded properly, and having some fast speeds onto the Finn and the Poe will do you so many great things for you in threes. Next up here is CLS, Chupio, and 3PO. This is a very, very, very good defensive team in threes. Another one I would probably set in the front wall. So there's a lot to go into the modding here, but just very briefly, I was consulted by Fatal in our last stream that we did on the Kyber Council on his channel on Twitch, and we were mentioning, you know, what are the best sets to go for, and you definitely want to have some tenacity here with a CA arrow, because this allows for you to have even more CA built in with his Learn Control unique, and it helps with tenacity so that you don't get landed, debuffs onto him. And same thing with Chupio. You want to go for full-on tenacity sets on the Chupio, so that way he does not get mind tricked or any debuffs whatsoever onto him from any character in the game. You know, having that there makes his team even that much better. And 3PO, I'm not too sure what the best mods here are for him in 3v3 in this team, but I would go for some speed. I like tenacity just because he doesn't get any debuff on him. So yeah, this is a crazy good team though, guys. This pulls a lot of good counters, especially, you know, it goes back to the same, you know, Finn and the Bros team. The gas can't work here. Sometimes JTR can't. JKR can, but if you have him modded properly, there is really nothing you can do to beat that team unless you pull something a bit stronger. So that's a very good team, guys. 3 great front wall teams. And gotta keep in mind, you gotta set 11 on defense and keep 11 for offense in Div 1 and 2. So those are my first 3 favorite, probably like the best non-GL teams in the game, in my opinion. And then you have this Newt team here. Newt team, you could definitely use Newt in really any team you want, but I love this team a lot because you have that extortion and you have somebody who can inflict some debuffs here. B2 is a great third here if you have B2, but personally I love this team with the GBA because B1 always heals up GBA and his extra Brute Alpha and his Brute rather, and it just makes it for a really durable, very strong defensive team, and can prove to be pretty annoying at times. This can be a great backwall team after, you know, set those other teams in the front wall in front of it, and it does very good things. Like I said, you don't have to have Newt here. I really like, though, the combination of B1 and Geo Brute Alpha. That is an insane combo for 3v3 defenses. So next up here, I'm going to talk about GK and this team here. Padme on offense does not need General Kenobi whatsoever, guys. You do not need her. So for threes, forget about having to need GK for that team on offense. So for GK, set this team on defense. If you guys have this, set it. It's a great team. Set it with GK and Ahsoka. Those are the 2 main ones. If you have a Barriss built up, go for that one as well. If you don't, though, you can use either a clone or you can use maybe a different Galactic Republic Jedi. So I think in the past I've used maybe like a 5s or like a random third, maybe even an R2. But as of right now, I have my Relic Barriss. I love using Barriss, so that's my favorite one to go for in the third slot. And then this next team is a Nightsister team, and this is another team you can really mix and match here, guys. This is one that you can even save for offense if you would like to. But I do like this one. It can be pretty annoying, especially if you have relics on Daka and Zombie, consistent revives, and just lots more stuff to have to kill and take out, right? So revives are really annoying, especially in defenses in threes. So that's a really quick and easy team there. Next up here are some splits with the droids. We kind of went over some of them here with the B1, but this next one is with Grievous, B2, and Magna Guard. This is a great team with the extra dispels with the B2. And Magna Guard's pre-taunt that he'll be giving out to himself and, you know, stealthing up the other 2, and he's going to be setting out in the front, right? It's a great one. Actually, even harder to kill than a B1. B1 makes it a little bit easier to kill. So this one's the better team, in my opinion, when it comes to Grievouses, when you're going to be splitting all those droids up. So I like this one a lot. And the next up here is with your First Order. Ideally, I like saving Hux for offenses, just on the off chance I need to use him with my Supreme Leader. If you do not have a Supreme Leader, guys, definitely set him here in one of these teams. He's going to be great. Or if you would like to, another great option is to just don't even use this guy, and just instead use the First Order Sith Trooper. not First Order, but just the Sith Trooper. It's a great one to use here. In this team, you're going to now have, guess what, 2 AoEs from the OG Kylo and now him, and then you have the leadership working here. It's a great team. This will drop banners for sure, guys. This is such a great team for the defenses. And then you have this old school team that's been going around for lots of different rounds and seasons of 3v3. It's with Old Ben, and then using my favorite 3 is Old Ben, Droideka, and then Nightsister Spirit. Lots of extra evasion and foresight, more TM, and more just annoying things happening here. You know, you have the mind tricks, you have some stuns, you have some TMR, and then you have somebody who's in damage immunity for most of the battle too. It's a great one. You could also toss out the Droideka and use like a zombie, or you can maybe even go with the what's his name, like a Watt. Watt's a great one here too, but I prefer using Watt for the offenses. Next up here is Mon Mothma. I do not like Mon Mothma for offenses whatsoever because I do not get max banners. So having this team on defense does help a lot. If you have a better Rebel lineup of Rebel fighters, then go for those guys. But for me, I still don't have many good ones, so I'm stuck kind of with using Biggs and Wedge. If you guys have a good Kara, use Kara and use the Rebel Scout. Or the most ideal one to use is with Cassian and K2. Those are the best ones if you have them built up. But if you don't, it's okay with just sticking with Biggs and Wedge because they're going to be just fine as is. And then the next 2 here, my last 2 I want to go over for today, is some new ones that I've been using and I've been seeing rather for my GAC that I've been kind of either struggling with or other people struggling with. And this is the first one I'll go over and talk about is the Maul team with Dooku and Marauder. So this one kind of requires to have his Zeta, although I'm sure you can still get away without using it, but it makes it a little bit better if you have the Zeta. So it's with Maul lead, all the extra evasion and TM gain, and then you have Dooku, and then you have Marauder. Marauder is the MVP here, guys. He is so dang good with his unique on the Force shall free me. You get more TM whenever somebody is attacking outside of their turn, and more of these extra bonuses based off of buffs and debuffs. So guys, if you have him, getting him with the Relic 7 for the Emperor, and you don't know where the best spot for him to be in your GAC for defenses or offenses, this is probably the best bet, guys. Having this in like a backwall team with like a Dooku, more stuns, you get so much TM here, and he just goes a lot more times, and he can do some big freaking damage if you have him with like relics like I do. So that's a really good, sneaky backwall defensive team. And then the last one I go over, if you guys do happen to have Moff built up, I don't have mine built up, so I won't be doing this, but if you guys do, this team is pretty gnarly. I like this one a lot, actually. And Moff can be used in a lot of different teams, so I'm not going to just say this is the best one, but this is one I've come to love. And it's with Moff, well, of course, EP lead, but then you got Moff and Darth Malak. So I love Moff here because of his know your adversaries. Oh my gosh. His unique here with lowered offense, crit chance, and crit damage. And then, you know, if he's fast enough, he's going to be opening up with the Darksaber lunge, and then you can now finally get to the control situation. And once that happens, you'll be hating your life in you know, attacking this team. It's going to be so dirty. It's so disgusting, guys. It's so great. But mainly why I like this team and why I'm going to be recommending it is because if you guys do have a really fast Moff Gideon, this is a really great team to use him for. Or if you want to be a bit more ballsy on the defenses and you want to set a GL, it's great to have a Moff under an Emperor with Malak as well, or using him with the Kylo teams. He's a great filler for the GL teams for the defenses, or if you have another like a little fun team you want to use him in here with the defense, the non-GLs, go for that too, guys. So I'm not sure how many that was, but that's definitely more than 11 teams that are for me at least in my GAC experience for 3v3, that is my staple 3v3 defensive teams, guys. They are so dang good. I love these first 3 though. Anyways, let's go on to the next ones. These ones are a bit more centered around my GLs, but you don't have to have GLs. I still have 11 teams that are non-GLs, but I do really like this Rey team, and I love saving an extra Kylo for offenses. And sometimes I do go back and forth on setting my JML on defense or keeping for offense. So this is not really set in stone. This is actually just keeping from my old weeks that I've had in GAC. But here we go. First one is the Darth Revan counter, or really any other strong counter in the game. It's with Thrawn lead, Vader, and L3. It's a great counter. If you guys have not seen any of these videos based off this counter, go see it. I think Fatal AK, the playbook, has some of that stuff. Go check it out, guys. It's a great, great counter to a Darth Revan team, and it's super awesome to just have Vader and Thrawn available for you. So that's the first one. Next one is JKL with GMY. This is more of an undersized team. You don't have to use just GMY. I kind of like Hermit Yoda if you can kind of use him here, or any other, you know, second Jedi that's kind of fast that can go out in front of the enemies and use the hero's arise. So that can be a lot of different stuff in the game. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Next up here is the Bounty Hunters. So I love actually not using Boba Fett here and instead using the Mando because I have that guaranteed annihilate that can help me get through some tougher opponents. You can actually not use Jango Fett here, and if you want to, you can set him on defense with some Separatists, maybe like a Poggle team, or whatever it may be, whatever you're feeling, and then keeping and rather setting Boba Fett with this team here on your offense. It's a great team. Boss Lead is going to be so awesome in threes, guys. So strong. Next up here is Traya and the Triumvirate. Nothing crazy about this one. It's just the main three guys. They can beat lots of different teams in the game. And you don't get the highest banner, but you do get the cleanest win, in my opinion. Very, very safe wins here with that team. Next up here is Padme. Like I said earlier, you don't have to have rather GK with Padme anymore in threes. So why not use a third different Galactic Republic? You don't have to have a cam because I'm sure you guys don't have a Relic 8 cam like me, but you can definitely use like an R2, a different clone trooper, or really anybody else you have still lying around. You just still want to have Padme and Anakin being there to help landing those debuffs and, you know, maintain the team with the extra heals. So it's a great team. Padme is awesome for offenses here. And the next up here is the other split I like personally, is using Shock T with Rex and 5s. This team can beat some Grievouses. It can beat some other pretty strong teams in the game as well. I just like Shock T and the clones on offense a bit more because I can get some more banners when I play it out myself, and it just makes it a bit easier, especially if I have modded properly. Nothing crazy about this one. They can beat some strong teams that are like the B to A tier teams, and you maintain some high banners like I just mentioned. So that's that team. Next up is the JTR, BB-8, and R2. This is a really great team in countering some of those CLS, Chupio, 3PO teams that I mentioned earlier. Or, you know, beating some other pretty strong teams, maybe like the Bounty Hunters, maybe like some Troopers if you happen to see some Troopers, or maybe even some other various teams. I don't know. I'm just pointing out some teams off the top of my head. But there you go. JTR is a great team. You get some good banners. Usually it's like a 1 to 2 banner loss because R2 does not get full banners, but it's still a good banner count for the other guys. Next up here, though, is the Han and Chewy team I love a lot. Rolo is like my go-to in threes for my Rebel leadership, and I just love her so much. In threes, she has her one AoE that deals lots more damage to the people. There's a lot less people in threes, so this attack hits them a lot more, and you get guaranteed ability blocks, which is pretty fun. And of course, you have Chewy and Han here dealing some major damage, guys. They're so much fun. These guys can beat so much stuff in the game. I just love them so much. So pretty simple there. Next up here, we got some Troopers. And the Troopers can still do a lot of great things for you if you have them modded properly in threes. You can kill some Nightsisters, some Bounty Hunters, and so on and so forth. You know, you get some good banners if you can get out in front of them. It doesn't work versus everything because you are missing two different Trooper teams, or rather, two different Trooper characters, but it can still do the job in threes. I like them a lot. And then the last few guys here, we have some filler teams. So these are ones I can't really recommend to you of where you should use and like what you should use, because these are kind of user dependent on what you guys have in your roster. So like, for example, JKR, I will probably be using JKR Gas or JKR GMY with Jolie. It kind of depends on the opponent I'm fighting and what I can actually save and use here. So JKR is one lead, and then the other one you can definitely use is just a gas solo if you can do that, or toss in a different 5.0 first to maintain his extra uniques, and maybe even use like an Ahsoka or an ARC Trooper or any other second here. You don't need a full trio, but having gas can get you some nice high banners in threes. And then the last but not least is Watt. Watt is very plug and play, as you guys will know, and you can use him with really anybody. So this guy can go with just about anybody you want. He can be going with the Han and Chewy, maybe some CLSs, some Vaders, some GLs as well. I think what I've been using recently is using him with Mission and Zalbar on the offenses, getting some nice high banner wins there. But yeah, guys, I think that's about it. There is around, I want to say that's around 12 or 13 different offenses that I like a lot, and then that also includes, or rather, it tops off more with the GLs if you guys want to save GLs for offenses like I like doing sometimes in threes. But that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching. If you guys have any other extra 3v3 teams you would like to add to this list, or you guys see get holds consistently, let me know down below in the comments. But that's probably it for today. Let me know, again, all those different teams because I would love to read them and maybe make an updated video on this later. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a like, share it around, and if you guys have not subbed yet, definitely sub to this channel. We are doing lots of daily content here, so guys, definitely feel free to sub there. But that's it for me today. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, I will see you all later, guys. Peace out, and have a good one.